Okay, this is something new. Pardon me, I'm starting my timer. I'm going to try and keep this under 5 minutes. Sorry for the glare. The only way I can read my notes. I'm going to talk about two topics which are a little controversial in the fire service: safety and vertical ventilation. Sorry, I need to be looking at the camera. So if you want to pause to get all riled up about these two topics, go ahead and then come back when you're ready. On my trip to Fort Worth, I'm in Fort Worth right now, I drove by the Cheesecake Factory and kind of gave me a context for some of the stuff and some of the podcasts I was listening to, and also some of the books I've been reading about this. We in the fire service want to be, I hate to say fast. We don't want to do things fast because haste makes waste, but we want to be economical in our motions. We want to do things as expeditiously as possible. So in order to do things quickly, it's better to not have to economize our motions. So here comes the Cheesecake Factory thing. If you ever been at the Cheesecake Factory, you know they've got a menu that's about 30 pages long. I think Tolstoy would comment on how big their menu is. And then I was comparing it to this. If you've ever been to Lake Charles, Louisiana, there's this po' boy sandwich shop. I can't remember the name of it. They've got about 6 things on their menu, and they're all really, really good. But the point is, if you have too many choices, it tends to slow down your decision-making process and confuse people. So having fewer choices makes it easier to be quick about what you're doing. Now, I know you're thinking, okay, when is he going to start talking about ventilation so I can vent? Sorry about that. The fewer choices you have means you can make your decisions quicker, which means you can enact them quicker, and you can get the job done, which for us, everything is fairly time sensitive. So, and I apologize to the podcasters and authors that I'm stealing this stuff from. I will give credit to some of them at the end. We need to think about, and this is where the safety things comes in. Are unsafe acts done because people make bad decisions? Bad choices, or they may because they have bad choices to make. And here's an example. We were at a fire the other day, and I'm commanding single family residential, kind of a shotgun shack in the 3rd Ward of Houston. And my truck company got up on the roof and was cutting a hole. Fine, that's what's needed to be done. Vertical ventilation. Y'all start arguing about that. But I could not see whether or not they had used a roof ladder. And at that point, it really didn't make much difference. Then I started thinking about it later. There is no downside to bringing a roof ladder with you when you do vertical ventilation. There are those who will say, well, sometimes it's necessary, sometimes it's not. The roof pitch is low, you don't have to worry about it. And you're right. But at the end of the day, there is no downside to having the ladder with you. So if your department, your company, whomever says, you know what, when you go up on the roof, you will always bring a roof ladder with you. When you train your crew, when you train your crew on who brings what, you bring the saw, you bring the axe, you bring the pike pole. Yeah, those are 3 things you should always have. And the chauffeur helps with the ground ladder and the roof ladder. You always do that. That's one less thing you have to think about when you are going up on the roof to cut a hole, because doing anything above a fire is inherently dangerous. Roofs get squishy and get soft. There are a million reasons you can probably give me as to why you don't want to bring that roof ladder up there. But at the end of the day, there's no downside to doing it. Now, this is just a metaphor for giving the department, or having your departments, your companies, whatever, set procedures in place that make it easier and quicker for you to make decisions, because the bad choice, and I say bad because that's just the way we're going to say it, the bad choice is eliminated. You don't have the option of doing something that could potentially put you or your crew in a hazard. So, tell me how wrong I am. But while you're doing that, get on your podcast app, whatever that is, and look up Pre-Accident Investigations with Todd Conklin. A lot of really good stuff. Not necessarily fire service specific, but really interesting. So tell me what you think. Be safe. Look forward to seeing you again real soon.